Today is the second day of school and the start of this 4-day vlog. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Mariely Sanchez and I'm a 4th grade teacher in South Florida. Today is the second day of school and the start of this 4-day vlog. So yesterday was the first day of school and I uploaded that as a separate day so you can see how my first day went. But for the rest of the week, I'm going to just compile little snippets and highlights of each day so that you can see how our first week of school goes by. So right now it's time to let the kids in and get our day started. So I'll see you later. It's now my lunchtime and the students had PE after I had them this morning. And they were working on their Math About Me, finishing it up. Some of them still have to finish, so they'll do that tomorrow. And we ended up doing our math review, which is a weekly math review from One Stop Teacher Shop. And I just put it on the board and we were working on Monday and Tuesday together. I love it because it reviews all the skills that we're going to now go over in chapter 1. And then it spirals all of that content throughout the year. So it's a very good way to make sure that they remember those concepts. Last year I used it as homework. This year I'm just going to use it as a warm-up to my math class because I start with math on 4 out of the 5 days. So that's what I'm doing. And then after that, they went to PE. And after PE, I just took them to lunch. So I'm going to eat my lunch now. When they come back from PE, we're going to go over the Florida state symbols. And they're going to do their favorite Florida state symbols brochures for social studies. I forgot to mention that one of the things I did this morning was I rearranged the desk. So I had put them into rows when was it? Sunday, when I was here Sunday. And I used them like that yesterday, but I felt like it was so crowded. So today I tried my best to put them into groups. And this is how the desks look now. So here is a group of 5, a group of 6, another group of 5 in a different configuration. And I didn't really have space to separate these teams without giving enough chair space for these chairs to be moved. So I put the purple team like this in this configuration, and I put blue together with purple. So that's how the desks currently look. And I like it because it feels very spacious and we have enough room to move around each other. And the sofa is still in the front and the library area is accessible. So all good stuff. And all of that is all the supplies that they have brought in. I organized them in the front and I eventually have to put them away. And yeah, little by little. All right, so I will now go ahead and have my lunch and I will catch up with you at the end of the day.
Conjunction, junction, what's your function? Hooking up words and phrases and clauses.
People say that I'm the life of the party.
Conjunction, connect.
A word, a phrase, and a clause for everybody.
Conjunction.
Everyone, so it's now the end of the day and I wanted to give you a quick rundown of the different things that we were able to tackle today. Also, I have to say that my document camera, I haven't been able to use it because I don't know if I mentioned this or not. I got a new desktop computer and there's restrictions on it that don't allow me to install the drivers for the software so that I can use it. So I've had to kind of be a little savvy today with projecting the different activities on the board so I can give students an example of my expectations for the completion of their assignments. So this is what I did. I ended up just uploading or importing the PDF into the Promethean flip chart of Active Inspire. And then I just wrote the information on the interactive whiteboard. So that's how I was able to get around not doing it with the document camera, which it would still be easier to do with the document camera, but I'm just gonna make it work with what we have right now. So this is what we did today. We started our morning with our weekly math review or our daily math review. This is from One Stop Teacher Shop. Then we went ahead and started looking at the Florida symbols and I gave them this brochure. I was showing them how to color the front and this is what I wanted them to do. So after I showed them a PowerPoint presentation on the various Florida state symbols, they needed to choose 3 that were their favorite, and then go ahead and write what those 3 were on the top, draw a picture, and then write 2 sentences explaining why they chose it as their favorite. So for the example, I drew the orange blossom, key lime pie, and our zebra long-winged butterfly. And then I showed them some sentence examples of what they should write and how it should be a complete thought, etc. So that was for social studies. Then for language arts, we went ahead and did our daily language arts warm-up, which I used to do last year at the beginning of the day, but because I'm starting with math, I'm starting with the daily math review, or daily math warm-up if you want to call it that way. So we did Monday and Tuesday. This was an extensive lesson because even though I'm introducing them to this, I also had to kind of make sure they knew what the parts of speech were. So we did a mini lesson on that. I also taught them about the different kinds of sentences, simple, compound, and complex. And we also went ahead and talked about capitalization. So that was a great mini lesson, and that's what we ended up doing for reading and language arts. Then it was time for science, and we worked on our science All About Me, which is a resource from the Science Penguin. It's free if you sign up for her free resource library on her blog. So that's pretty much what we ended up doing today. All right, that was quite a lot for day 2 of our first week of school. I know there's still a lot of things that I haven't been able to get in my lesson plans, and that's just the reality of it, because in between doing all that, we're still reviewing procedures, we're still practicing routines, and making sure that they get into the groove of how the class runs, and also getting to know them as well, which is an important part of the first week of school and the whole entire school year. All right, so that's all I have for today, Tuesday, and now I'll move you on to Wednesday. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday. So today is very exciting because it is the house sorting ceremony. So in a moment, I'm gonna put on my robes again. I'm gonna take off my blazer, put on my robes, and as soon as the students come in and get settled, we'll get started with the house sorting ceremony. I have a little surprise for them that I haven't done in the past, and I'll share it with you later as to how the house sorting ceremony is going to start. I just had a creative idea and decided to just do it, and I can't wait to see their reaction when it happens. So I wanted to show you really quickly on the board some things that we went over yesterday that I forgot to mention when we were going over the daily language arts warm-up. I mentioned that we were going over the different types of sentences. So we went over simple, compound, and complex. And I showed them some vocabulary videos as well as the Schoolhouse Rock conjunction junction music video. And it's catchy, so they'll remember. And every time we say conjunctions, they'll think, conjunction, junction, what's your function? So let's take a look at the board before I erase it. First and foremost, we were going over the 8 parts of speech. It was very nice that most of the students knew up to number 6. They didn't know about prepositions or interjections, so I went over that. And we went over simple, and I gave them an example, compound, and complex, so an example for each. And when we went over compound sentences, I went over the fanboys, which is a strategy that I learned from Jeff Anderson. These are some of the common conjunctions that are used to connect sentences, but of course there's more than this, and I made sure the students knew about that as well. Then we went over complex sentences, which are made up of a dependent clause, and here it's at the beginning, and an independent clause, which is a complete thought that can stand on its own. This one doesn't make sense by itself. It needs this part to make sense. And for complex sentences, I also go over obis. I think I'm missing an A or something, I forget. But I do have a Prezi presentation that I found a couple of years ago that I will show my students today that goes over what each of these letters in obis stand for. And this again is a strategy that I also learned from Jeff Anderson. So now I'm going to erase this board and get it ready for today. Okay, so let me do that, put on my robes, and get ready to welcome students. Waterfall. So let me introduce you to our classroom houses. This is the day you've been waiting for. Wednesday, 3rd day of school, and our house sorting ceremony day. But before we get started with our house sorting ceremony, it's very important that I present to you our houses. We have 4 main houses and 1 unifying house, because I know you're looking that there's like 5 crests up there. and there's only 4 up here. I'll explain to you more about the 5th house in a moment, but we are very, very excited for today. So here we go. These are the 4 main houses: River, Urifiki, Valor, and Kalosini. Every student will also automatically belong to one more house. This house is known as the unifying house because it brings everyone together as one. What is this house? Hekima. The Y. So are you ready to join our house system? I know a lot of you have been so excited since you heard on the first day that you will be sorted into houses. I know, and today is Jacob's first day, so he gets to experience this all today. But some of you have been here maybe since Friday, and you kind of heard about maybe a sorting happening, and then the rest of you learned on Monday. That was 2 days ago. The day is finally here where you will find out which house you have been sorted into for the 2019-2020 school year. Now, there's something that I want you to remember. Don't try to connect these houses with the Harry Potter houses. Those are the Hogwarts houses. These are the Sanchez houses, okay? And if you don't happen to be in the house that you thought you were going to be, I don't want you to be upset about that. I want you to take it as an opportunity to explore the reason why you have been sorted into that house and be able to work together with the members of your house. Your names will be written on these blocks right here once you have been sorted into your house, so that you will always remember what house, and I will always remember what house you belong to. One way that you will earn points for your house is when you are encouraging and helpful to other members of other houses, because we are here to support and encourage each other. Are you excited? I mean, there are so many things that I can't wait to share with you about what is happening in our house.
Excuse me, Miss Sanchez?
Yes?
Shouldn't we get started with the house sorting ceremony?
I mean, I guess I was getting it. I mean, I was getting to that. But why, are you in a hurry?
Well, no, but I'm pretty sure the students are very excited to see which house they're going to be sorted into.
I mean, you think they're excited? I mean, should we ask them?
Well, class, are you excited?
Well, I think they are, so.
Well, it's time for the ceremony to begin.
And it all starts with Zachary.
Zachary, I see that you have brave tendencies and have great courage. You also have the ability to follow your dreams and pursue creative solutions. You have the ability to also seek to help others. But where should we put you? I know.
Valor, welcome to the house of the brave.
Meisha, I can tell that you are a very friendly person that has great delight in the friends that surround you, and you are also a positive person. So I think I know the right place for you.
You're a geeky. Welcome to the house of friendly.
Nevi, I sense you are filled with great determination. You have the ability to be a great leader, have courage, bravery, and you also like to help others. So I think I know the right place for you.
Welcome to the house of the benevolent.
Noah, I sense great creativity within you. You have the ability to create ideas, follow your dreams, and be an out-of-the-box thinker. So I know the right place for you.
Made it to the end of the day, and And from what you saw in the video, today's biggest highlight was the class sorting ceremony. And I hope you caught at the beginning how I was having a conversation with myself. So that's what I did this morning. I actually embedded some more sound clips into the title slide. How I did it was I copied the title slide a couple of times for however many sound clips I needed. And I recorded myself doing those this morning, and I embedded it so that it was as if I'm talking to the class about the houses, and then all of a sudden, the great voice from beyond says, "Excuse me, Ms. Sanchez," and I'm like, yeah, shouldn't we get started with the house sorting ceremony? So the kids were like, whoa, what's happening? It was pretty magical. And then, of course, if you've seen my house sorting videos before, my students stand in the front of the classroom when their name is displayed on the board. And it's basically 2 slides with their name. And then the second slide is where I embed the sound that automatically plays when I get to that slide. And it's the voice telling them information that we gathered from the personality quiz and also from my observations in class the last 2 days. And that's how they were sorted into the houses. So that was a lot of fun. Before that, we ended up reading a couple books this morning. So they watched Chrysanthemum, which we have the book, but in Discovery Ed, there's a full animated video of it for 15 minutes. So we watched it, we discussed it. Whenever someone was not nice to Chrysanthemum, I have the Chrysanthemum character printed out, and then what I do is when she gets someone to say something mean to her, I crumpled her or I tore her up. This is a lesson that I learned many years ago. And then at the end, when everybody starts to kind of be nice, I kind of try to make her normal again or back to how she was. But this is a good lesson to show the kids that words have a lasting impact, so we need to be careful what we say to each other or other people because that stays with them. Even though they may be feeling better about it, they still have that lingering effect of the words. And of course, it was all about the importance of names, which then led us to read The Name Jar, which is right here. It is one of my favorite books to start the year with. It is by Young Suk Choi, and it is about a Korean girl who has people on her bus kind of not pronounce her name correctly, and it makes her feel really bad. It seems like they're picking on her. So when she is introduced to the class and they ask what her name is, she tells them that she hasn't picked one yet. And then her classmates start to kind of create a jar with name suggestions. And then eventually something happens, but you're going to have to read the book to find out. So it led a conversation about our names, why they're important. And then that springboarded me to give them the name little mini homework research assignment that basically they're going to ask a family member about how they got their name. And then they're going to do a little bit of research like on a baby naming website on information about their name, the meaning, the origin, all that jazz. And that is due on Friday. So it's an activity that I like to do at the beginning of every year. And now my arm is getting tired from holding the camera. So let me kind of put it on a tripod so I can keep talking to you. There, that's better. And I had to put my jacket on because it's a little cold in the classroom, and I'm not complaining about that. But yeah, so we read that, and then we read How I Spent My Summer Vacation. Let me get that book. Here it is, which is by Mark Teague, and he did the story and the illustrations. So I thought it was a cute little story to kind of read, and it has rhymes. So I can springboard the kids into doing their summer short story, which is a resource that I do sell in my TPT. And I recently updated, so it has a huge update. And basically, the students get a planning sheet, which I don't have in front of me right now. But they plan out their story, and then once it's done, they rewrite it, the final draft, on an index card, and then they paste the index card on the shorts, and they decorate them, etc., and it becomes one of our instant bulletin boards. So we did that, and then that's when I started showing them about the houses, which again, it's a resource that I also have in my TPT store. If you're interested in doing the house system and how it works, I have it all in there. And then we did the house sorting ceremony, which you saw. After that, they had Spanish for a little bit. They went to lunch. After lunch, we had math. We started on lesson 1.1. So we started in the book already, which is the relative sizes of numbers according to the place value chart. So I passed out place value blocks and manipulatives for them to be able to visually see what a 1 looks like. Let me show you. So basically, these are our base 10 blocks. So this little cube represents 1 unit, so a 1. And when we get 10 of these, we get a long. and then 10 longs make a flat, and 10 flats make a cube, which is 1,000. So it was good to have them have those manipulatives at their desk. I kind of kept them there for now since we're starting math tomorrow morning so that we can continue with that tomorrow. And yeah, then it was the end of the day because today is Wednesday and it's early release. Now, I wanted to take some time to show you the books that are in my relaxation corner, which the kids named the Peaceful Palace. I had a couple of my subscribers ask me what are the books that I keep in that corner. So I'm gonna take us over there so that you can see the titles that are in that basket. So this is my little corner of relaxation with our bean bag, which is a memory foam bean bag. And this is my foot. I am wearing socks in the classroom, cozy socks, because that way my feet don't hurt from my shoes. And here's our little fountain with our grill sign and our box of books. So these are the books that are in here. So we have Bubblegum Brain, Ready, Get Mindset, Grow by Julia Cook. A Flicker of Hope by Julia Cook. Not Yet by Lisa Cox and Lori Hakama. Listen with Your Heart by Gabby Garcia. Mindful Mantras, I Can Handle It by Lori Wright. My Day is Ruined, a story for teaching flexible thinking, written by Brian Smith. Mindset Matters, written by Brian Smith. Spaghetti in a Hot Bun, Having the Courage to Be Who You Are by Maria Desmondi. Breathe Like a Bear, 30 Mindful Moments for Kids to Feel Calm and Focused Anytime, Anywhere by Kira Wiley. I Can't Do That Yet, Growth Mindset by Esther Pia Cordova. The Most Magnificent Thing by Ashley Spires. What to Do with a Problem, written by Kobe Yamada. The Girl Who Never Made Mistakes by Mark Pett and Gary Rubenstein. The Rough Patch by Brian Lies. And Your Fantastic Elastic Brain, Stretch It, Shape It by Joanne Deek, PhD. So those are the books that are in my Calm Down Relaxation Corner. So there are mindful books and growth mindset book as well, which is why I have so many grows over here. And I thought it would be a great little library to have the kids reach out and read the books. And of course, I will use them myself in the classroom. And down here, if I didn't go over it, we have some toys for calming down, some stress balls with positive messages, and some fidget spinners down there. And the timers are here, 3 minutes and 5 minutes. So that's the little relaxation corner / peaceful palace, as the kids now call it. So anyway, that's all I have for today, Wednesday. I feel like I've spoken so much in the last 2 days. It's supposed to be highlights, and I have been just rambling. I'm so sorry. Anyway, so now I'm going to move you on to Thursday. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Thursday. So this morning we went over some math, continuing the lesson from yesterday on place value and relative size. I'll show you a little bit of what we did on the board to kind of review it. And I introduced them to the second lesson of chapter 1, which is all about reading and writing numbers in standard, word, and expanded form. And then we went to PE, and I just finished dropping them off at lunch. So now it's our lunchtime. After lunch, we're going to have social studies and then get into reading. Then we'll have our recess, and then we'll end the day with science. So let me show you what's on the board right now. So I wrote a place value chart on the board. Note to self, I would love to get one that is magnetized and it's kind of big so I can use it on the board for the future. Maybe I can make one myself with magnetic paper. But we were trying to compare these two numbers and the number 2 digit in both numbers and see how the 2 in 2,783 was bigger than the 2 in 7,283. So we did that. This is just some division that I was showing them. They were trying to find how many groups of 100 will be used to model 3,200. And this is a glimpse of our online textbook that I project on our board in order for us to be able to write on it and discuss it and so forth. This is lesson 2 in chapter 1, which goes over standard word form and expanded form. So we also finished our daily math warm-up from One Stop Teacher Shop, and we're done with that. Tomorrow is Catch Up and Pickles because it's Friday, so they can catch up on any work they haven't finished. And yeah, so far so good, and looking forward to the rest of the day.
The scientific method starts out when you ask a question. The hypothesis is the second step, then you test it. That's what an experiment is, of course. Analyzing the results is the fourth. Have we reached a conclusion? Do we need more support? That's the fifth step. Yep, we've been waiting. The sixth step, take our results, communicate them.
It's now the end of the day, and we have done all the things today. I actually was on top of my schedule and dedicated enough time for every single subject today, so that was awesome. So after lunch, what we ended up doing was continuing with our favorite Florida symbols brochure, and I want to give you a glimpse of the PowerPoint that, I don't know if I had shown you the PowerPoint before, so I wanted to show you that PowerPoint. So let me show you that. And before I do that, after social studies, we went into reading and we read Gary Soto's Oranges, which talks about a first time. And for him, it was the first time he walked with a girl. I think I talked about it in another video recently, but we read that. I introduced them to the SPADE strategy again that we use in our district for close reading and making sure we understand what we're reading. And I also taught the students how to annotate text and how we try to understand poetry. We did multiple readings of that poem, and then the students started answering questions, which they'll also finish tomorrow for Ketchup and Pickles. Tomorrow's going to be a catch-up day for a lot of these assignments that we were working on this week. And then that prompted us to then go into writing about that. And before we started that writing activity, I read them the book My Brave Year First by Jamie Lee Curtis, which is this adorable book right here. It just talks about different kinds of firsts that she's gone through in her short life. But there's a part in the back that I absolutely love. And right here, some firsts just happen, some firsts come when I try. Some firsts make me smile, some firsts make me cry. But I knew at that moment, though I've known all along, that first things first happen when I'm brave, true, and strong. So it was a beautiful book that also talked about growth mindset thinking, flexible thinking, not giving up when things are difficult, because there were different situations that were difficult for her that she shares in the book, but she kept trying and doing her best. So that prompted our writing activity, where I had the kids think about a first-time memory, choose one, draw a picture about it, write about it, and then think about one word that really stands out from that experience and write that word in the bottom box of the quadrant. I'll show you the paper because I did make a digital one on the board to show them, and then I made one on real paper. So I want to show you that right now. Backtracking a little bit first, this is the Florida Symbols PowerPoint that I show the students. I play it live. I'm just going slide by slide so that I can show you. Here's the seal of Florida and the flag, and then we go over some of the other symbols. So the state tree, the state animal, the state bird, the butterfly, the state horse, freshwater fish, saltwater fish, marine mammal, saltwater reptile, state reptile, tortoise, shell, gem, which was a really cool thing when we were going over the moonstone, because we read that the moonstone is not really found in Florida. However, the legislature voted for it to be part of the Florida symbols in order to commemorate Apollo 11's flight to the moon, since that shuttle took off from the Kennedy Space Center. So the kids thought that was really cool and interesting. The state stone, which is the agatized coral, the state beverage, fruit, flower, wildflower, pie, and we went over who our governor is and other state facts that are important for them to know. After I went over the PowerPoint played automatically, but then I had to stop it because I wanted to show them my expectations for this assignment. So then I decided to print out a printout in color of the slides and give one set per group so that they can refer to the pictures as they were creating their drawings. So this is pretty much what I came up with. So I have 5 packets of all the different slides that were in that PowerPoint presentation so the students can refer to the pictures as they are completing their favorite Florida symbols brochure, which is this paper right here that I put together myself. And on the inside is where they write the title of the Florida symbol that is their favorite. They draw a picture of it, and then they write sentences to explain why they chose that as their favorite Florida symbol. Of course, they have to fully color it, and then they can color the front and the side, and this becomes our instant bulletin board. So that's what we did for social studies, and the students will finish tomorrow. For reading, we read this poem, like I mentioned, by Gary Soto, and we actually annotated a lot of it. Let me show you the digital annotation that we did on the Promethean. So here is the poem on the board that we were annotating and going over how we annotate in order to make sense of what we're reading and interact with the text. So we were able to do this. So we did kind of like 3 reads. The first read, I just read it for them to listen. The second read, we started annotating, going little bit by little bit. And then the third read, as I was rereading it again, I had them circle a line or 2 that really stood out to them. And a lot of them chose similar lines, which is always a cool activity to do. Like some of them chose frost cracking beneath my steps. Another one chose until we were breathing before a drugstore as a creative way of saying they arrived to the drugstore, which of course, you know, we went over the fact that a drugstore is a pharmacy like CVS or Walgreens. And we also went over this one when I looked up, the lady's eyes met mine and held them, knowing very well what it was all about, because the boy didn't have enough money to purchase the chocolate that the girl got that cost a dime, but he didn't say anything, so he just took the 1 nickel he had and one of his 2 oranges to kind of pay for that chocolate. So that was really cool. And another one that was a favorite that I kind of heard a lot was that he was peeling the orange. So a lot of them picked that from a distance, someone might have thought I was making a fire in my hands, because we were talking about the setting, how the setting was important to this narrative poem, and how even though everything was gray and white during this very cold winter day in December, as he was peeling the orange from far away, it might have looked that he was making fire in his hands. So that was really cool. So then these are the questions that they answered. And obviously, since we spent so much time annotating and discussing the meaning of the poem, this became pretty simple for them to do. So the topic, describe the setting, when and where, describe what the author means until we were breathing before a drugstore, describe the kind of person the boy in the poem is, what does it mean when the author states, when I looked up, the lady's eyes met mine, knowing very well what it was all about. Why did the author use a simile, fog hanging like coats between trees? And why did the author compare the orange to fire at the end of the poem? So then after that, and after reading My Brave Year first, this is the digital version that I created for this. So this is a paper that they folded in fourths, so in half and then half again. They brainstormed a first-time memory, and then they circled the one they wanted to write about. I had them draw a picture, then write a story, and then think of a word that stood out, and that word for me was lost, because this is the time I started school in the USA. So I started in 5th grade, at the beginning of 5th grade in August when school started, and I didn't know any English, so I wrote about my experience there. And then I actually drew it and I took a picture of the paper. So this is how my paper looks now, and it just needs to be colored. So I'm gonna have them color the picture and of course the word. And then I showed them an example of a similar activity I did last year with my students on a different topic. They were writing about events that have influenced them. I posted about this on my Instagram last school year, and I also included it in my vlog. So there's the picture of my grandparents' house and the story, and the word that comes out from this story is worthy. So that is the writing that we were able to do today. Then that moved us on to the scientific method in science, which you saw a clip from Vocabulary that I showed a video on the scientific method. And then I showed them the scientific method for 10-year-olds cartoon, and I gave them a comic strip that had the flow chart on the back of the steps in the scientific method so that they can create a cartoon about someone going through each step of the scientific method. And of course, we will be doing a lab with either M&Ms or Skittles next week so that they can practice engaging in the scientific method. And this is the comic strip that I was talking about. I show them examples of some that my students have created in the past. So this is the cartoon for the scientific method for 10-year-olds. You can literally just search this on Google and it'll come up, and you can save it as a picture. I actually just printed 2 to 1 page, cut the paper in half, and then the students put this in their science notebooks to kind of have a fun way of remembering the scientific method. So then I gave them this sheet of paper right here that goes, it has a flow chart so that they can see the steps in the scientific method. And on the other side, it has the comic strip boxes so that they can write their comic strip and draw it and whatnot, showing all the different steps of the scientific method. So then I show them these examples. Here's one from a previous student. So identify the problem, research and gather info, form a hypothesis, design an experiment, collect, analyze data, conclusions, and share results. And I also show them this one where it says identify the problem, how will I catch those fish? And then 2 is down here for some reason. Gather information, try tricking the fish. And this is a professional at catching fish. Form a hypothesis, I gotta make a trap. And then design an experiment, I'm going to find out the best way to catch this fish. and then collect and analyze the data. So if I trap them, they'll get away, but if I confuse them, I'll get them. So the conclusion is that they have a lot of fish, and they learned that in order to catch the fish, they need to confuse the fish. So that was really cute. And this is another one that I showed them. So problem, collect the information, and the hypothesis. And I love how this person wrote the hypothesis an if then because statement. They were trying to figure out which feather will fall the fastest. So and then here is the designing their experiment, dropping the feathers, collecting and analyzing the data, and then sharing their results and deciding whether the hypothesis was supported or not supported. So that was a lot of fun. So much fun that when it came time to pack up, the kids didn't want to stop. They wanted to keep drawing their cartoons. So tomorrow, they're going to keep working on that, and hopefully they'll get to finish a lot of this during Ketchup and Pickles. Anyway, so that's it for Thursday. I feel like I've been rambling. I'm so sorry this video is so long. Now we're going to go on to Friday. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Friday, or like I like to say, Friday. We finally made it to the last day of the first week of school, and boy, I feel like it's been such a long week in a good way, but also because my body's still trying to get used to waking up super early and then teaching throughout the day and then going home. So every day this week, I've been going home and taking naps. That's just how I've been able to manage with all of the energy that I've used during the day. But I just went to Publix this morning to get a couple of items that I need for some activities that I wanted to do with my students today. So first and foremost, I got some sour gummy worms and some Lifesaver gummies because I want my students to do the Saving Fred activity, which is also a community builder. They have to work together to save Fred. If you haven't heard about it, you can Google it, but I'll show you some of the information that I did find online on that. And then I also got some double bubble gum because I would like for them to use the scientific method process in figuring out what happens to the mass of a bubble gum. Does it change after it's been chewed? So it'll be a fun science experiment to do. I got the idea from my fellow friend Joanne, which on Instagram she is known as Head Over Heels for Teaching. I absolutely love her, and she's another fellow 4th grade Florida teacher in Central Florida. And another thing that I got a pack of was Skittles because next week we want to do the Skittles lab, which also reinforces those scientific process skills. So I also picked up my lunch for today, and this has been my lunch for the whole entire week. It's very easy to put together. It's very yummy in my opinion, and my doctor I know will be happy with it. So this is what I have been packing for my lunch. So I needed something that I could just put together really fast. So I've been grabbing some baby spinach or just spinach. And I get the pre-washed ones, and then I just put it in my food container or my lunch container. And then I put some of the Purdue carved chicken breast, the grilled ones, and I put some on top of that. When I'm ready to eat, I'll take half of an avocado, this is a Haas avocado, and cut it into little cubes, put it on the salad. And this is my favorite dressing that I've been using, the Annie's chili lime. It is so good. I don't like very sweet dressings. This one is not sweet at all, which is perfect for me. And this just makes a really delicious lunch. And because you have the oil from the dressing and the good fats from the avocado, you stay full very long. So that has been my go-to lunch all week. All right, so now I'm going to get ready for the day. This morning, the students are going to do ketchup and pickles, so I'm going to get that slide up for them to know what they are catching up on, finishing up, and then what activities they can pick on so that we have a good start to our morning and they can finish all of those awesome assignments that we've been working on this week. So see you later. All right, so right now the students are in art and they've been busy working on all of their ketchup and pickles assignments. Like their desks look like there's work happening because there's a whole bunch of papers on their desk. So I'll just give you a pan view so you can kind of take a look. But you can see all the desks are covered with papers that they are currently working on, and that's our cubby system in the back. And over here is the slide that I project. This is part of my daily slides that I have. So this is our ketchup and pickles. So they're catching up on all those assignments on the left, and then they can pick an activity when they're done on the right. All right, so I'm just gonna keep working on my planning time on different things, including lesson planning for next week. And I will catch up with you, if not during lunch, probably at the end of the day. It's now the end of the day and it's been quite an exciting Friday. So you saw the students were catching up earlier on their ketchup and pickles work. Frankly, there's some things that they just didn't get to finish, so I'm just going to embed those in my lesson plans for next week. Next week, we also start iReady testing on Tuesday, and I hope that they'll be able to finish with all of that by Friday, since that's where they have us scheduled from Tuesday through Friday, 2 days for reading, 2 days for math. So yeah, getting ready to go with that. But for the rest of the afternoon, they had their recess. We ended up doing the hula hoop pass as the community builder, and they absolutely loved it so much that they asked to do it one more time. So that was exciting. And then for science, we did the bubblegum experiment, an idea that I got from my friend that I mentioned earlier. And I created a little recording sheet to go with it. So I already showed you a glimpse of what it looks like. Let me show you a little bit more of what it is. So this is the little lab sheet that I created for our bubblegum experiment, and this is the gum that I bought. As you saw earlier, the double bubble. Got a bag of £1 for $2.99, so 2 bags actually. And we didn't finish. We were only able to do 1 trial, so we'll finish next week. But here's our problem statement. Here's our hypothesis. And we made sure that we did a little bit of background investigation as to the ingredients of gum so that they could do as well as an educated guess as they could do. And these are the procedures. So we went how scientists develop procedures in order to try to prove their hypothesis or see if it's supported. And then these are the variables, the independent, dependent, and control, the materials, and then the observations as far as it goes with the drawing, and then data and graph. So we did 1 trial, and next week we'll do trial 2 and 3, and then they can do their analysis and conclusion. And then the back of this is blank, so that once we set up our science notebook, they can easily take this inside of their science notebook so they can refer back to it as far as how to record information from an experiment. So that was a really fun experiment that we did today. The kids absolutely loved it. They had a great time. Before that and before recess, we played a math game called Beat the Teacher because I wanted them to have a way to practice more place value, but in a fun way. And I realized that a lot of them still need to understand how we make numbers and how, depending on where the digit is on the place value chart, determines their value. So I found this game on Pinterest and I did it today and it was a lot of fun. So let me show you the recording sheet and basically how you play the game. So this is the recording sheet for Beat the Teacher, which is a place value game. So I just gave them graph paper, I had them head it. I had them write game 1 through 5, and then over here is millions, 100,000s, 10,000s, thousands, hundreds, tens, and ones, and over here are the points. And we did an example 1. Basically, you need a deck of cards, and you have to make sure that in your deck of cards, you remove all of the picture cards so that you are only left with the aces and with the cards that are 2 through 10. So an ace is a 1, and then a 10 is actually a 0. So basically, let me put these cards in a way that I can do it with one hand, because right now I'm holding the camera with one hand and I'm trying to do this with one hand. Hold on. So here are my cards. So the purpose of the game is for the students and myself to make a number according to the cards that come out. If this is an ace, which is a 1, I try to determine where I'm going to put it. Am I going to put it in the ones? Because the purpose is to make the bigger number. But the next card comes out, and they have to figure out where it goes. The next card comes out. Ooh, that's a 9. So if they haven't put 1 in the millions, that's the best place to put a 9 to get the biggest number. And while they're doing that, I'm making a number hidden from them so they don't see it. And once we pull up all 7 digits, then I show them the number. Anyone who got the same number as me gets 3 points. Anyone that got a number higher than me gets 5 points. And if I ended up getting a number that was higher than any of the students, I get 20 points. But as you can see, they always beat me in one way or another, so I got 0 points. It was a lot of fun. They really loved it. We did 5 rounds of it, and they're actually looking forward to doing it again sometime next week. The students also turned in their homework for the name research, which I need to check and make sure everyone turned them in and give them credit for that. On Monday, they're turning in their cereal box autobiography, and I already have 2 students that turned in their boxes. And my friend Adriana, who you may have seen in my vlogs before, she's no longer at my school. She's in another school nearby. She's closer to home. But this year, she's not just teaching math. She's also teaching a period of reading because she is a middle school teacher. and she's been asking me for some tips and things like that. She asked me for a bookmark, and I have some bookmarks for reading, strategies that all good readers do, but they were a little outdated. So I decided to create some new ones, and this is what I came up with. So here are the bookmarks that I created with these different strategies that all good readers do. So preview, predict, visualize, make connections, ask questions. It's a double-sided bookmark. So on the back it says summarize, infer, respond, and I added an annotate section with some of my favorite annotation symbols that I have my students use. So right now I have warmed up my Scotch laminator. I'm going to put these in the pouches and we're going to laminate them because I'm making a set for my students. So here they are. I just finished cutting all of them, and yeah, they look great. I did print them on regular printer paper, not cardstock, and I used the 5mm laminating pouches, so it's nice and thick and sturdy. And it's always hard to cut through this paper, and it was 7 sheets of 4 bookmarks that I cut out, but they look very nice and ready for my students to use and refer to. The other thing that I was preparing, which is an activity that I'm just going to leave for next week, Monday, as a community builder, is the Save Fred activity that I mentioned before. So I have these little containers that I got at Target. They come with lids and the little 2-ounce containers. I believe this is, 2 ounces. And I'm using the sour gummy worms from Publix, which is my local supermarket store, 2 paper clips, and a Lifesaver gummy. So I'm gonna create one or prepare one for each group so that they can go ahead and work with this on Monday. I might prepare a few extra because I do have a group that has 6 members, and maybe I can have students work in groups of 3 or 4. So I'll prepare a few extras so that they're ready to go. And the purpose of this game, you can search it up and let me find something so I can show you. The students have to Save Fred, because when you set this up, you're going to put the gummy worm on top of this container, the container upside down, the Lifesaver gummy underneath it, the lid, not the lid, and they have the 2 paper clips, and basically they have to put the Lifesaver through the gummy worm and put the gummy worm back on the boat. So they have to flip the boat over because he can't swim, he will drown, and the students are not allowed to hurt the worm. So they have to be creative in how they solve that problem, and they have to work together. So let me go ahead and prepare these little containers for next week's team building activity. Just finished creating 9 different containers so that I have them ready to go for Monday. They each have a gummy worm, they have a gummy Lifesaver, and 2 paper clips, and the container will act as the boat that they need to flip over. And I'm going to show you where I'm going to be placing these for the students to work on. I have these science trays that are used for science labs, so I'm thinking of having it set up so that the Lifesaver is under the boat and Fred is on top, and they have to use their paper clips in order to save Fred. So that's how it will be set up. So the plastic trays are awesome that they're blue because they can represent the water, and the kids have to save Fred or Sam. Some cases they call him Sam. All right, really quick because my phone's about to die and I just want to wrap up this vlog. I've been busy checking homework and putting grades in the grade book, making sure I have my 1 grade for the week for all subjects. And one thing that I forgot to tell you was at the end of the day, which is an idea that I got from my friend Joanne from Head Over Heels from Teaching on IG, was ask the students what are the different things that we did this week. And I know we didn't have much time because it was the end of the day, but these are the different things that they came up with. My phone died, so I am now filming this on my iPad, which I'm not sure how it's going to come out. But as I was saying, these are the different things that the students came up with, along with these different things of all the things that we ended up doing this week, the first week of school. So I am very happy with what they came up with. All right, so that is all I have for you today, Friday, and for the last 4 days of what we did the first week of school. I hope you enjoyed coming along with us. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment down below, let me know what you thought or any questions you may have. Also, if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell for notifications so you don't miss any future videos. I hope you have a beautiful, magical day, and don't forget to smile. Hello, dreamers, wishers, and magical thinkers. Thank you so much for making it to the very end of this video and for showing your support. If you'd like to subscribe, you can do so by clicking on my picture down here. You can also check out my latest videos here and here. Don't forget to believe in the magic that's inside you because you are capable of great things. See you next time.